So look, I hope what we're doing tonight is the most important session of the class. It's very strange, but we knew the Damascus document for 100 years, but we couldn't place it in any context. And by the way, it doesn't matter what you call it. You know, some people originally called it Zadokite fragments, then some called it, you know, the Zadokite rule, the Damascus rule, finally the Damascus document that I laid claim to being one of the first to employ. No thanks for my colleagues for that, I don't believe. But in any case, it just made sense to call it the Damascus document. It's not a rule, it's a document. Why would anyone call it a rule? That's just stupid. But the point is that the Damascus document is full, complete, except for the stuff that we've now found precedes, and there's some more material that follows it. So, but what we have from the Cairo Geniza is an extremely good copy, and now after being able to see the parallels, which is why it was so able to see the parallels, in page 4, we know that the Geniza material is just about absolutely accurate. So whoever copied the Geniza material really had a very good copy that they were copying. Now, how it got into the Cairo Geniza, that's your guess as well as mine. So without any more wasting time about that, let's continue where we were. We were on column 4. And of course, that's an extremely important column. It was preceded by this history of Israel using the word cut off and delivered up. Mostly delivered up to the sword, but delivered up is a very familiar phrase from the Gospels. Judas Iscariot delivered up Jesus at the conference. One was asking about that we had down there. Last week, one of the experts on the Gospel of Judas wanted to make the point that the New Testament never says Judas betrayed Jesus. It only says he delivered him up, which is true. Ludemann, I think, was making that point from Germany, if you've heard of him. But in any case, yeah, that's obvious. Betray is our equivalent. But that's why we often have to go back to the Greek or the Hebrew to be sure about these things. But here we have delivered up, cut off. I showed you where Paul's using the language to cut off and so on. And these are friends of God and heirs to the covenant forever. And then at the end of this, but God and his marvelous mysteries, line 18 of column 3, atoned for their sin, forgave them their iniquities, and built this house of faith that never stood from ancient times until now. And those that hold fast to it hold fast again, very important, to what? Both to the law and this house of faith. There will, you know, in the letter of James, you are saved by works and faith working together. And for them that hold fast to it, there will be a victorious life, and all the glory of Adam will be theirs. The glory of Adam we're going to hear in other contexts in the scrolls. But I think it relates, who knows what the glory of Adam is? It's not something that's ever been defined. But if you look at the Pseudo-Clementines, the Jewish Christians, the Ebionites so-called, and we've discussed the Pseudo-Clementines sufficiently, I think, in this class that we don't need to keep on saying what they are. But if you look at the Pseudo-Clementines, the primal Adam is one of the principal doctrines, and don't ask me what it means. Only it's a kind of incarnationist ideology that Jesus is the last Adam, and Adam was the first Adam, and Adam reappears in different generations. It's a sort of a Buddha doctrine. Frankly, I think Buddhism was moving west here, and I think the Buddhism was influencing things here a bit. And you say, how is that possible? I don't know how that's possible. But I have a feeling some of these things are very much like, I mean, so many Christians have seen the similarity of the Christ doctrine to the Buddha doctrine, that many Christians who became disillusioned with Christianity, particularly in the 50s and 60s, became Buddhists. Buddhism was really big for people who became disillusioned with Christianity. And I don't think, as Paul uses the term Christ, I don't think it's so different from the way Buddhists are using the term Buddha, the Buddha. I can't go any deeper into it than that. I don't have any information, but yes, we know that there were Buddhist teachers that got to Rome. I forget which of the early church historians talk about that in the 2nd century. And I think the primal Adam is an equivalent of that ideology in some way. You know the Islamic doctrine, the Imam. How many have heard of the Imam? The hidden Imam? Yeah. I go over this a lot in my James and my New Testament code book. The Imam. Well, as Shiism, I mean not Sunnism. I mean the Shiites and the Sunnis are at odds, as you know. And something of this Annapolis conference that's going on now is very much related to the willingness of the Sunnis to try to come to some accommodation on the Palestine-Israel problem, where the Shiites are not prepared to. It's a kind of an alliance being worked up of people who will oppose the Shiite and further Shiite incursion into these areas, because really Sunni Islam fears Shiite Islam much more than it fears Israel. Israel has already proved that it's never going to do anything to them anyway. It's just maybe messing about a bit in the area of Palestine, trying to recreate its old heritage there, but it's not threatening Mecca, it's not threatening Baghdad, it's not into expansionist things, it has no desire to destroy any Arab or Islamic country, it doesn't want to destroy the Islamic religion at all, but that's not the case with Shiism versus Sunnism. So a nuclear Shiitism is a very frightening thing to the Sunnis. I think that's a little bit of what's going on in Washington and Annapolis at the moment, though we don't see it because they don't tell us these things. But Shiism is based on this incarnation, this idea of the Imam. In Sunnism, the Imam doesn't have this aspect. So if you haven't taken an Islam course, you would get this in an Islam course. But the hidden Imam is the Imam that went into occultation and is supposed to return sort of like a Mahdi, a Messiah at the end of time, and Jesus is supposed to precede the coming back of the Imam. It's very complicated. It's in the Hadith literature. But Imam in Shiism is very similar to primal Adam in the Pseudo-Clementines, very similar to Buddha in Buddhism. It's an incarnation of perfection. And weird, it isn't Muhammad whose incarnation is supposed to be Ali, his nephew and or his cousin and son-in-law. But anyway, so this, watch Adam wherever you can in the scrolls, because it probably has more significance than we can understand. Because whoever heard All the Glory About Him movie there was, what's the glory about him? Whoever heard of such a thing? I don't even know what it is. Yet we're talking about eternal life, or resurrection, or something like that. Living eternally. So the glory of Adam is yours and you live eternally. So Adam is not a normal atom, it's a super atom. Not super atom bomb, but super ADAM. So then we go into this Zadokite covenant, and that's column 4. This is a quote from Ezekiel 44:15. In any case, the priests are the penitents of Israel. Remember I told you that this is not the way Ezekiel 44:15 reads in the normative Bible, even in the Dead Sea Scrolls? That it's been broken open. How has it been broken open? That's why I want you to read the thing completely, not just listen to a lecture, but look at it.